Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for hanging out. Welcome to another episode of Flyers High and Wide Radio. I'm your host, Angry Jim. I'm here with my co host, Jack. Real quick, you can hear us on the following platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public, Stitcher. The Anchor app is what we're using now, and we're live on YouTube. Now that I got all that out of the way, Jack, let's get into our topics for tonight, man.
Me, Jack, Flyers, Yak, and yeah, like you said, after another great game by the Flyers, they really showed me all they had in the a nice little 10-minute span in the third period, and that was about it. So with that, and with our team being 15, 20, and 5, probably dead last in the league. The only thing we can look forward to now is the trade deadline. And I know my boy Jim here likes talking trades, Jimmy. So what are you feeling on this trade deadline? I mean, we're obviously sellers. So
Yeah, it's sad to say, January 3rd, 2019. Flyers are already looking forward to the deadline, and unfortunately, they're sellers. The obvious guy everyone's gonna come up with is Wayne Simmons. Um, he should be the perfect trade deadline candidate. It'd be nice if he was helping us out. He did score what was it, a power play goal tonight?
yeah, he did. He thank God increased his value a little bit with that
Yeah,
one. He's the first person to score on the power play in quite a while.
I saw
Jimmy,
a stat. They were like 9 for 95 until tonight.
they were almost below 10%, which is embarrassing. To go along with their penalty kill, how bad that's been, it's a joke. I don't know how they have any points on the season, it feels like. But we were talking about Simmons before, and Jim, I got to ask you because you went off. You were seeing red. Believe you felt Simmons had not much value. What was going on with you there?
I mean, until tonight, he was almost invisible. He's almost a ghost, and you know, I want to get really, really angry, but I can understand from Simmons' standpoint. It's almost like he knows he's not going to get paid here. He knows he's not going to be here, and he's thinking about his future. I mean, it sounds selfish, but we've seen what kind of player he is in the past. It's easy to say that he's not that kind of player anymore. Um, Unfortunately, I don't think he's helping the team out, and I don't think he's helping his trade value. I think that you're right, and somebody will pay up. Um, I just can't see him getting more than a second or third round pick in return. I've seen a lot of guys saying, maybe a prospect and a pick. Anything with the word "and" involved, I would say, is a win right now for Simmons. Um, I've seen a lot of guys say maybe they get what's his name, Kevin Fiala keeps coming up from Nashville. Nashville's a team that supposedly wants Simmons. That's a 22-year-old kid. I know that roster's deep, but I went and did some digging today and a little bit of Flyers trade history. I went all the way back to 2013. The last two players the Flyers have traded for in season are Valtteri Filppula
Uh,
and Radko Gudas. I mean, if you want to count Peter Mrazek, he's on there.
well, funny
So
you say that. Both were salary dumps.
right,
Well, sort of. Coburn was, I wouldn't say a salary dump, but it was a rebuilding move. As you recall, we also got a first and a third. So Gudis was like a throw-in with that trade. And Filppula was a Mark Streit. We traded straight away,
right.
and I think Tampa flipped him to Pittsburgh or something like that. So yeah, it wasn't like we didn't add a player to win now. They were not good enough, and we were getting rid of guys. So to really go back off the top of my head, uh, they gave up a first. This is under Holgram. They gave up a first round pick for, oh God, what was that guy's name? Oh, he played for everybody. He played for Chicago. He won a cup with them. He was with Toronto. He's with Florida. We had him for a little bit.
Versteeg.
Yeah, Christopher Stieg.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an in-season acquisition. I can remember. He did not pan out well. Um, Other than that, off the top of my head, without digging, like actually adding a player to win now mid-season, I can't. I really can't think of any.
There's
Oh,
no.
I got one. I got one. Try not to laugh.
Okay.
During this season, the Flyers were making a playoff push, and they had to add a veteran defenseman. They gave up a second and a third to the New York Islanders. You know who they
Wait,
got?
I got it. I know who it is.
Andrew McFriggin Donald.
At
That's
the
a
time, he
true
was only
story.
making $500,000.
That is a true story, folks.
You want to know who else we traded for him? I'll tell you real quick.
Huh.
So it was this guy, Matt Mangine, whoever that is. But we also traded a 2015 second, which ended up being Brandon Carlo, who's he's a solid fixture right now in the Boston Bruins defense, right?
Yep.
And they also traded ended up being a goalie prospect, 2014 third, which is turned out to be Ilya Sorokin. I know he's still playing in Russia, but he's regarded as one of the best goalie prospects still.
Oh my God.
For
That
Andy McDonald.
stings even more. You know, oh my God. He played tonight, or was Folin in for him?
Folin was in. Andy, he was supposedly hurt or something.
Oh, you got me real excited about that. You know, you were right. A trade actually was this close to going down.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah, they were trading McDonald to Vancouver, but the Vancouver GM felt the bag of pucks was more valuable to the team, so they nixed the deal at the last second.
I don't know if are you joking around right now?
No.
Are you messing around?
Yeah, it was McDonald for a bag of pucks, and at the last second, the GM said, "Nah, these bag of pucks are much more valuable to my team."
Anybody who trades for Andy McDonald will not have a job next year.
It kills me. I talk to some people, and they're like, McDonald's not like the worst player on the team, and I'm just like, what? Like I think about it, and if you really break it down to the assets we gave up to get him, the ridiculous contract, and how much forced playing time he gets, and honestly, I feel like he's a detriment to our young defensemen. Yet they say he's great with leadership. I don't know how you can follow a guy who doesn't even know how to play hockey, but it's like, I was talking to like a family friend, and they're telling him, and he was a hockey coach and everything, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't really mind McDonald." I'm like, "Why? What? Like, how could you not mind? He doesn't wear skates; he wears flippers. Like, it's unbelievable how bad he is." And when you add the contract and the assets we gave him, he's the worst defenseman we've ever had. Now, I'm not saying skill-wise he's the worst, but given how often he's played, what we gave up and what we paid him, and for the length of the deal, he's hands down the worst. If you take all those intangibles, far and away, worst defenseman the Flyers have ever had. Ever.
And he's here for another year, too. This is not even his last year.
I know. And I really did get excited that somehow some ridiculous deal got, I don't know. I knew it couldn't be true. So anyway.
Would you move Wayne Simmons for a 5th round or a 6th round pick if Andy McDonald went with them?
As much as I'd like to get rid of McDonald, I do think we still can get something for Simmons. And here's my reasoning. You said Nashville's interested. I read that the Boston Bruins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and actually the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay.
The Oilers, I can see them being interested because their GM Chiarelli is probably going to get fired. He has a Stanley Cup ring, and it's universally agreed upon he's the worst GM in the league. Mm-hmm. He likes players like Simmons. Look, he signed what's his name from Boston.
Lucic. Yeah,
Lucic, to that ridiculous deal, and he's regretting that. So he's going to trade for a very similar player like Simmons, and he traded Taylor Hall away for an average defenseman, maybe a slightly above average. The one guy who could keep up with Connor McDavid, he trades away before he even gets a chance to play with him. And it makes me think, if they're really interested and he's trying to save his job, what will he give up for Simmons? At first definitely is on the table, but I got my eyes on like guys like Yamamoto or Puljujärvi and plus, because they're really low on him right now. Who knows what you could get? Now, ownership might step in. Ownership could step in and be like, "You're not trading any of our young guys. You're not going to be here." That's why any head coach he hired only got 1 year. He went to Quenneville. He said no because he wanted more than a 1-year deal. Alain Vigneault, same thing. And he gets what's his name?
Hitchcock.
We all thought he was retired. So the leash is very short with him. I still would be interested to see what he'd be offering. He gave up a decent college prospect that everybody wanted, not everybody, but a lot of teams, including the Flyers, wanted in Dragula, whatever,
Jula.
for Brandon frickin' Manning. Like, come on, this guy's a moron. Like, you could really, really get a deal done here if he just talk to the guy. You know, something could happen. Other than that, the real interesting. Well, first off, I would love Fiala from the Predators. He's young. He's shown flashes. I mean, I would try to get a little bit more, but I would definitely be interested in that deal. Now, the real interesting one here is because Tampa is so good right now, Boston's good, Toronto's good. They're essentially locked in to playing each other in the first round of the playoffs, just like they were last year. Just how the point standing look like. I won't say locked in, but it's looking like that's how it's going to happen. So now, let's just work with me on this. Say it's the Flyers and Penguins in this situation. Both the Flyers and the Penguins need a certain position, but it's the same position, and some team is offering this player. How's it going to look if the Penguins get that guy and then they use him against you in the playoffs? It's a division rival. I mean, these are two original 6 teams. They hate each other. So if both teams want Simmons and they're going to play each other in the playoffs, Simmons would be perfect for the power play and the playoffs and character. You know, they're only gonna make the bid. You know, the bidding war work in our favor, regardless of how Simmons plays. All he has to do is stay healthy. Yes, I want him to play better. That could be very interesting because both teams aren't going to want to miss out. They're going to one up the other, and it's going to be, it's not like, hey, if we see them in the playoffs later in the playoffs, it's the first round because of how asinine the playoff system is structured. And Tampa Bay is far and away the best team right now, and they're the next 2. They're going to play each other in the first round. It's like 90%. So if they're both interested, they're both looking for the same thing, and they're going to play each other. Like, could you not play that off each other and get the best possible deal?
That's true.
And there's pieces on both teams I would really like. That could drive the price up.
Do you think the closer the trade deadline gets, the less leverage the Flyers will have?
No. I always think – I don't want to say they have more, but teams get more – because they can always hold on to him and trade his rights. It's not like it's the end of the world. Obviously, you won't get as much. I think they'll have deals in place that they want to get more, so they could always fall back and be like, we'll do this. But teams get desperate. That's when the price is the highest. It's the same with the draft. The price is the highest at the draft, you know?
Yep.
And because that's your last chance, and that teams get desperate. And if they're, Toronto could totally win a cup this year. Bruins, I don't know, but they're both good teams. And if they think that player can push them over, they're going to do it. I mean, Boston's shown they traded for Rick Nash last year, and among other players, like they'll make moves. Toronto is ready. Like they surprised last year. They got Tavares in the offseason. They're looking for a defense, but who's giving up a top 4 defenseman who's not in the playoffs? Maybe Carolina, but that trade has not happened yet. So maybe they go the other route, pay a little bit less, and get Simmons. At the very least, that we're going to be getting phone calls and 2 teams bidding against each other. It's only going to drive the price up. Wait till the last second. At the last second, if you're telling me Coburn can net you a first, a third, and Radko Gudas, Simmons will get you something. And I do think it'll be more than a second or a third. I think we're looking at a first plus. If the plus is a certain prospect, it depends. And you just got to hope he starts playing better to really lock that in. I wouldn't say I'm excited. I'm more nervous because this is a real good opportunity here. And let's just hope Fletcher doesn't screw it up. I'll be honest. I'm happier seeing him do this than Hextall, because Hextall really started to question him towards the end. So we'll see. I'm not doom and gloom like you were the other day.
I mean, I still kind of am, because I guess once we see more of these rumors kind of come out, I'll get a little bit more excited. But I'm just like, damn, if this is the guy that they know they're trading for, how would anybody give up a one or a prospect for Wayne Simmons,
It's funny how we talk about our players, but then the outside looking in, they talk about our players differently. I I know a lot of people make fun of Eklund, but he has some really nice hockey analysts and writers on his show, and one of them, Michael Agello, is all about Toronto. He like talks about it too much. That is his team, like we are with the Flyers. He might even be more into it because he's a writer and he's a media guy for them. And he wants Wayne Simmons. He knows the team wants a player like Wayne Simmons, and they need that presence. And if they can't get the defense they need, that might be the route they go. So hearing that gives me faith.
I watched them. They had that day game today, which was weird. I watched
Against
them today.
Minnesota,
They definitely need some help over there. If they're not going to improve their D, or we could save this for later on, but they're going to need a goalie, I think.
Toronto,
yeah, big time.
only because of injuries. They played. Frederik Andersen's been great this year. They play him too much, and he's actually the kind of goalie who can play a lot of games. But even still, when Garrett Sparks is your backup, it's going to be tough. So, I mean, you thinking they're looking at one of our goalies possibly?
I mean, we have serviceable. I mean, our goalies, they are what they are. They're serviceable. They're good backups. You know, if they want to trade for Brian Elliott, he would work out for them because they're a team making a push. You know, what do we need Brian Elliott and Michael Newverth for? What do we need them?
I mean, it'd be ideal if you could send them along in a Simmons trade to get what you want from them. Just, you know, probably not Neuwirth because you just can't trust his health. But if Elliott's back and playing well, healthy, Stolars is a name. Even Loin. I don't know how much they would like Loin, but you know, you never know. I would send one of those four along in a deal outside of Carter Hart, obviously, just to get it done. I like Kasperi Kapanen from them. I don't think it's crazy. You know, I wouldn't give him and a first, but still. I don't know. Boston's got a lot of defensemen, but I don't know if they'd be willing to give one up. They've had a lot of injuries, but they're probably looking more like picks. But this is supposed to be a pretty good draft from what I hear. So keeping our own first pick, possibly getting Hughes, God, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, earlier in the season, I'm like, you know what? They got to make a change. They have to get a goalie, a defenseman, whatever. Now I'm just like, they're not going to win regardless. So
yeah, we're definitely sellers. There's no point in buying. That would be stupid. Yeah. I have heard the Jonathan Quick rumors have died down. I have still heard, and I would still do Craig Anderson. I would. Shouldn't cost you as much, and he's definitely a good starter with Carter Hart. You know, 60-40, well, percentage, not games. It'd be more like I'd do like 55 or 50 and 30. You know. 1A, 1B, and then he's old enough where Carter Hart could take over from him. Jimmy's Howard name has been floated. I know Pittsburgh's interested. They want a first, and they might get it. He's been playing on a very bad team. He's been playing well, and it's been noticeable. He made the All-Star game. Not that really means anything, but
do you have him on your fantasy team? Because I never was really crazy for Jimmy Howard.
Yeah, I traded him to Steve. Yeah.
So like I've never been a big Jimmy Howard guy. Maybe like 5-6 years ago, I thought he was pretty solid. Is he still good?
He went through a patch where they were like, "Oh, Mrazek's the heir apparent," and then he dealt with some injury issues, and really over last year he was like quietly good again, and this year it's really showing. So I think he's good. He's on a really bad team, you know, and he's standing out. So it's hard to do as a goalie. If you're a player like Connor McDavid with the Oilers, like you're going to stand out because you're the only thing they got out there. But if you're a goaltender on a bad team and you're standing out, there's something to be said about that. So I think he will net a nice return as long as he doesn't get hurt or anything like that.
I wonder if they're trying to showcase Nuvi a little bit because I would have figured Carter Hart would have started tonight. And I wonder if they're thinking Brian Elliott's the guy that's going to kind of hang out with Carter Hart.
Well, I think they didn't start him because he had a really bad start against Carolina before the other game where he gave up that one bad goal, and then in the second period 2 bad goals, and they pulled him. I don't think they were going to start him against Carolina. So, you know, shouldn't matter either way. That's a team they have to at least show up for, which they don't. Which is why I want them to like stealth tank, where they don't say we're tanking, but they start.
I think that's what they're doing, man.
Yeah, like they start Neuwirth all the time. You know, it's tough. But so as far as there's anybody else in the Flyers you would really like to sell hard at the deadline, I think goalies is going to be tough. But we'll really have to see how they're playing around the end of February.
Yeah, who needs what? So you brought up Radko Gudas before the show. He's been playing really, really well this year. Also, I mean, he's been showing a little bit more toughness, a little bit more of his old self. I don't think he'll ever. I mean, he may when he goes to a playoff team, but I'm not sure if he's ever going to be that same guy. I just think the league really came down hard on him and everybody else, and you're just not seeing that kind of game from any of the teams anymore, really. But he's been playing very, very solid all year. He's playing with Andy McDonald on the third line now. He was playing with Sanheim for a long time before that. I think they can get some value for him if they're looking to move him. He's under contract for another year. What have you heard as far as rumors?
I haven't heard anybody interested in Gudas yet. However, he's played a lot better than he has last year. Although his second half last year was really bad, so anything's better than that. I hope he doesn't play bad this second half. He's got a year left on his deal, which is attractive because it's very manageable.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say he's a top 4 defenseman, but he's capable. He's got a hard slap shot. He's right-handed, which is rare. He's definitely – he can net you a third. I think his second's a little too much, but you can get a pick for him. Hell,
Yeah,
if Toronto really wanted it, Simmons and Gudas together, I know that's not a defenseman they really need. Like I know they need like a top 4 guy, but I think it'd be better than some of the options they have. At least
that's a good
guys
scenario.
get hurt, and it's more of the grit factor as well, which is in the toughness, which they're looking for. It's definitely something to look into. Boston could be interested because they've had a slew of injuries in defense. Just trying to think of. I mean, it seems like Tampa Bay always gets a defenseman every single playoff run. You know, you got Strawman running on fumes down there.
Yeah,
it's funny because we got him from Tampa, but you never know. I mean, anybody could take a right-handed defenseman who's cheap and has a year of control. They really need to explore that one. I think there's a chance they could just bring him back because they kind of need him. You know, he's a veteran. They got him for another year. I don't think that's a smart move. I think get what you can from now, bring the kids up, see what you got, clear some cap.
Philip Myers is knocking down the door, man. He's ready to come up now.
Exactly. It's just a reason to bring him up. So, yeah, I mean, outside of that, you know, Raffle, well, I mean, fourth, third. I heard last year somebody offered them a second.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he's like that super utility player. A lot of teams value that just because of the injuries that go through the playoffs. See, I think he's a good fourth liner. Like the rest of our team sucks. Like that's what the problem is. We were rolling 4 strong lines. He would look great on the fourth line, but we don't. So
yeah,
it's just a trickle down effect. But whenever somebody gets hurt, but yeah, like it's nice whenever somebody gets hurt. You know, you can put Raffle pretty much anywhere on the team, and he'll get you over that hump. You know, he's not spectacular. He's not good as he used to be, but those kind of players are rare. So I think
does he play on the PK?
Yeah, exactly. And he never really questioned his effort. I think if somebody called asking about Wheel, then Bobby wouldn't be given much. But are you going to retain Wheel? Are you going to bring him back?
No.
Some people might say yes. I don't think
I hope not.
I think just if they give you a 5th round pick, okay, sure. Good luck.
He annoys me, man. Like he bothers me.
He reminds me of like a poor man's. Oh God, what was that guy's name? Sam Gagne. You remember Sam Gagne?
Yeah,
he was a little more talented. He couldn't finish.
I think I like Sam Gagne. Wheel he bugs me. Like there's something about his personality.
Well, he'll show flashes of I don't want to say brilliance, but you know he really knows what he's doing. And it'll drive play all of a sudden, be energetic, and then he completely disappears. And the next time you see him, it's in a penalty box. You know? Remember he was taking like 2 penalties a game for like 10 games?
Yeah.
Like
and he wasn't playing for a little while.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe sometimes he's too over hyperactive or something, but Jordan Wheel experiment is over as far as I'm concerned. So move on. You
It
know,
seems like they're benching Laterra a little bit more after all this stuff's coming out.
well, yeah, he should his contract should be off the books at this point. I guess they got to wait till he's actually convicted, but he's not.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be playing until. I think he's done.
yeah, he was
So,
sentenced. I think they sentenced him to 5 months the other
he got
day.
sentenced already.
Yeah, he's been sentenced, but he's got to go back for it.
Oh, I thought he had to go back for trial.
Mm-mm.
Oh wow.
Maybe they want to sentence him. I can't remember what it was.
Well, he should definitely be out of the NHL, but who knows?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, when it comes to my mom, like who else can you trade? Like you're not trading Drew or Coots or TK. You're not trading Patrick. I mean, I would be interested in Voracek if anybody's calling about him. I would seriously consider that. Did you hear what came out with Dallas with their CEO going off on Sagan and Jamie Benn?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds cool, but it's pretty classless to do that. I think in the public, as much as we want to hear, like it's drama and we want to hear that kind of stuff. Like I loved it because it was from another team. But if somebody came out like that on for us, I'm not sure I would have agreed with that, especially since Sagan and Ben are your two top guys. But part of me does like it. Part of me likes it, and I'm kind of torn in the middle. Because I think guys like that, if you're getting paid that kind of money, and you should be performing, and you're supposed to be the leader, then call them out. But to do it how they did, it may not have been the right way. If you want
It
to
was
keep
a
stuff in
little.
house, whatever.
I like it too, but yeah, it was a little harsh.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, they got their money and then they stopped playing. It's one season. It's not like they've been doing this, and
yeah,
they played awfully hard for you before that money too.
for
So
sure. Yeah, Ben's one of my favorite players in the league. I think he's.
there's blame to go around. They need to be held accountable. They owned it too. So I mean, I think he was really over the top with it. I don't know. Hey, some people are emotional like that. If he was here, whoever that CEO was, he was in Philly. Can you imagine what he'd be saying about Hackstall and Voracek and Ghost and Profa? He would have a heart attack. He would have a stroke and drop dead.
So I'm all for that kind of stuff. But I mean, if you're gonna do it, say it to their face. Go in the
Yeah,
locker room and say it in there. To come out and do it in the media kind of makes them look like
dysfunctional.
yeah, it makes them look like dysfunctional. I don't know if it so much makes them look bad as it makes him look bad.
Yeah, some of those guys just don't care though. But it does bring up the question: could one or both of them be made available at the trade deadline? I mean, they're up in. I think they're getting better in the standings, but I don't know if that's going to hold out. But Tyler Sagan, I mean, I don't know
Could
what
you
I'd
imagine him
offer.
next to Giroux?
I mean, I don't know what I'd offer, but
Give them what they want.
I mean, even with the money he's making, they'd have to take like Voracek back in the deal. But it's what else we'd have to do to get him. It's a pipe dream, but I don't know. This is how this kind of stuff starts. When big trades get made. It's weird things like this, weird situations like this. So just because we're talking to trade deadline, it wouldn't even be like a sell or buy. It could be like a player for player, not player for player, but like I wouldn't call it a sell or a buy. It's just a trade.
Yeah, trade. I think how's Dallas doing? Aren't they in the playoffs as of right now?
Actually, I think they're only 4 points behind Nashville.
Oh,
So
really?
they must have picked it up or something. I don't know. But I guess I don't know why the guy went off if they weren't. I guess because those two aren't performing at the level that it was expected.
He wants them to kind of put him over the top. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they definitely won't be moved if that's planted into the playoff race. But there's a lot of time between now and the end of February, so we'll see.
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, is there anything else you could any other players? I really can't. I don't think so.
No, besides Simmons, Gudis, maybe they do something with the goalie. That's pretty much it. I mean, if Voracek, but he's a little bit more complicated. He's somebody I could probably see moving in the off season.
What about a guy like Lawton? Would you trade him?
Yeah, I mean, he's not untouchable. I don't see why not.
Honestly, the only two players right now who are untouchable, I would say Giroux and Carter Hart, and then probably Coots 3, but that's it. I would. I mean, I liked it personally. I like to keep TK, but depending on the deal, even and Provorov, but depending on the deal, anybody's. I haven't heard anything from the Blues about Parayko,
You haven't
or
heard anything?
Tarasenko. So we'll see. Things are going to pick back up soon.
Yeah, and the worse they get, the faster this stuff's going to start rolling.
And a shot at Jack Hughes is nothing to be sniffed at. Like, you really have to consider that.
Hey, a lot of guys are bringing up Capo Keiko. Have you watched any of him in the World Juniors?
No, who's he with?
I think he plays for Finland.
Where's he projected to go in the draft? Number 2?
People are saying top 3.
Damn. Is he defenseman?
Nah, forward.
Winger or center?
That I don't know. I have to look more into him. But I've been seeing his name pop up on Twitter every now and again. It's called Crapo for Caco. like Tank for Hughes, lose for
Yeah.
Hughes.
Or winless for Wiggins back for the Sixers.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so there's going to be some guys at the top of the draft that they could go after.
Yeah, it's like that's another thing. If you don't get Hughes, if you're a high enough pick, you might still get somebody good. So
yeah,
and because Nolan Patrick looks so bad right now.
I know he's only 20 years old, man, but I've seen more negative than I have seen any flashes yet from him.
Yeah, he doesn't drive. I don't know. Certain stats say he drives play well, but like the eye test does not tell me that.
Right.
And he just has this like pretty boy, I don't give a shit look.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. He's kind of what's the word we were using with this team?
Lifeless, dead.
Not privileged.
I think. Oh shit. Entitled.
They look entitled. I heard that he's had that entitled attitude, but he hasn't done anything.
I'm not surprised. He's got that look. I mean, I don't know. It sucks, man. You think you get lucky and move up, and then he's just so bleh.
We're getting old.
And he's like, oh, the player to break out going into this year, and he's just so bleh.
Yep.
It sucks. You really thought you had your. That's part of the reason I think they're losing, man. That was supposed to be your second line center.
Yeah.
You're
right.
For a while with Lindblom and Voracek, we thought we had a line, and he was the guy who was playing the worst on that line, and now he's hurt again. It's like, this guy, man, we better turn it. I mean, he's still young, got plenty of time, but it just doesn't look good. So you were talking to me earlier. Do you have some questions or some thoughts on Chuck Fletcher's trade history as the trade deadline is looming?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about what the Flyers have done the last couple of years, and I think that was mostly Hextall. So some of Hextall's trades, he got rid of guys like Tiemann, Hartnell, mostly dumping salary, things like that. What kind of trades can you see Fletcher making based on his past moves?
See, the thing is, based on his past moves, I've only seen him go for it kind of trades, such as Pominville. He did make at the time under the radar moves, like a third for Dubnyk, and that really, really panned out for him. Something like Holmgren did when we traded Bob and we made all these other trades, but like an under the radar move was we acquired Steve Mason. Yeah, say what you will. His first few seasons in Philly, he was really good, especially his first. He was really, really good.
We got him for a third-round pick, by the way.
Yeah, like not nothing crazy, Yeah. So if he could do something like that, I would be happy. I'm looking for him to sell. His from the trades I've seen he's made, I have not seen him sell anybody. I've seen him dump salary. I've seen him make player-for-player deals, some of which have worked, some of which have not. It's like a coin toss with him. So luckily, I don't think we'll be making any going for it trades. That would be stupid. I'm a little nervous what he's going to do on the goalie front. I don't want to give up too many assets, but it's a wait and see because his history doesn't show selling moves, and we shouldn't buy. So what else is
interesting?
There?
That's really interesting that you say that. Because you figure that's the mode we're in is sell mode. So I'm interested to see if he can add to the roster while selling at the same time. That's interesting.
Like that's what if he's not gonna say we can't trade Simmons or or if we do or whatever, like another trade. Like you shouldn't just make 1 or 2 trades at this deadline. I really hope they make like it's a lot from now to the deadline. Like I want to see at least like 3 trades. You know, I want to see Gudis and Simmons moved, or Simmons and somebody else like Rafa or somebody or goalie. But I'd also like to see one of those under the radar moves. Take a shot at somebody. Here, give a 4th round pick for a team trying to clear salary to acquire somebody else, or like this is how guys like Dubnik get picked up, get moved for So something like that. Some goalie who's out there you want to put in your system, take a shot on. Maybe he can help you in the meantime until Carter Hart's ready, and he can be a backup. And you never know, because that's what happened with Dubnik. That's what happens with certain players. Other teams do it. Flyers haven't done it in a long time. So I'm curious. I don't know who would be available, but I'm still curious to see if something like that could happen. If not, at the very least, a player for player move. I'd be okay with that. Like, I don't think anybody too highly priced, but a Lawton for somebody, or a Raffle, or I doubt Weiss gets moved. A Wheel for something, 2 players who just need a change of scenery. You know what I mean? How some guys that revitalizes them a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's tough. You really have to look over the roster, see how everybody's playing, moving up to the deadline. But I just got to do something. Like so far, he's doing exactly what Hextall did. Not that I think that's bad, but
yeah,
I really want to see talks intensify. I really want to. If at the very least we get a haul for Simmons and that's it, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't see anything past Simmons. And after seeing what the Flyers have done, I went back like 10, 12 years, and they haven't really ever traded for somebody like let's say like Tarasenko during the course of a season. If they're going to make a move like that, it's going to come during the summer. Maybe probably around the draft. June 23rd is a huge day for the Flyers for trades for whatever reason. Richards and Carter went that one year. Then what's that?
I was just going to say it sounds like Richards and Carter.
Yeah,
I think somebody else was traded pretty big on that date.
I think JVR went on that day. I think Braden Shen as well was traded on the same day.
Wow.
Different years, obviously, but same day. So June 23rd. If we want to put bets in, guys, June 23rd, Jake Voracek's going to get traded.
2 sell moves and 1 player for player that turned really bad in our favor.
Yeah.
Well,
so what else you got? You got anything else?
I'm just depressed, man. Like here we are again.
I know it's hard to even be angry, man. Like,
well, what did I say like a week and a half ago? Like, once the honeymoon phase of the new goalie, new coach is over, they're going to revert back. I said I hope they don't. They're going to revert back to how they are. And this is a typical Flyers loss. They have a decent first period. They have a shit show of a second period. They have an 8-minute span where they give a shit all of a sudden. And then I watched the post-game show, and it's like, did you watch any of the interviews in the post-game show?
Is it the same? No, not tonight.
Well, at first it was kind of the same. Is Coots on the penalty kill? Am I missing something?
He should be if he's not.
Yeah, right? Well, the reason I say this is because he was just talking, and he sounded depressed, to be honest.
He sounds
the
same.
Probably tired of answering all the same questions, giving the same responses. Yeah. But I swear, at some point he was like, yeah, this happened, that happened. Penalty kill didn't do their job. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. What did he just – I'm like, he's on the penalty kill, right? Because he wouldn't have said that if he wasn't.
Yeah.
Pointing the finger kind of.
I'm pretty sure he's on there, yeah.
I mean, he has to be. But I still had to ask, like, was it his unit that was out when they got scored on?
Right.
Because – they got caught standing around again tonight on some of those earlier goals, and it's just like, I don't know, they're going to get to that point where they start pointing the finger. Like that's really toxic. Like it's really bad. So then you might see other guys get moved just for the sake of being moved. You know what it is? They have to change up this locker room simply because these all might be good players. The chemistry is not there. It's not. It's confidence, chemistry, the morale. It's all shit.
That's what it's got to be now. There's nothing else it could be.
And I'm okay waiting because I don't want to make a move simply out of anger because that's how you make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, they really need to sell, and they need to retool in the offseason as well. And to be talking about the offseason on January 3rd,
Sucks, man.
it's pathetic.
For
It is.
like 4 months ago, we were pumped because we got JVR 5 months ago.
This is the worst stretch of Flyers hockey in my life.
It's friggin' boring,
Seriously.
man.
My entire childhood, they were good. They were playoffs were like a guarantee. They had that one bad season. Holmgren immediately flipped them around, got Tiemann and Hartnell, whatever. They were up and down, finals run, 2012 was a great year. And ever since then, it has been the worst stretch of Flyers hockey I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, dude. It's boring. It's exactly like what it sounds like. Like they're just waiting around for guys to come up. And it's friggin' boring.
And we've been waiting for it. We're 2 years from being 2 years away.
Yeah, you got that right.
So it's pathetic. I never thought we'd reach this point in my fanhood, but
here we are.
Yeah, exactly. Here we are. What are you gonna do? So
we're about 41 minutes in. You want to wrap it up? You got any last words?
The march to the trade deadline begins,
and
the Flyers are already selling.
Unbelievable, man.
Not even the second half of the season yet. And I
Who
hope
would
they
have thought
don't
when
turn
they
it
signed
into a second half
JVR?
team again. Huh?
Who would have thought we'd be saying this when they signed JVR for 7 years back in?
You know what? Go back and watch our first podcast, The Optimism.
Yeah.
I remember seeing like, oh, JVR, I love hearing it. Oh, jeez.
That's a
pretty nice rebound goal tonight, though.
Yeah, he did. The Pigeon got one.
It's funny. The one thing we talked about, and we were so right on that first podcast, was I said, you're telling me you're going to go in with Elliott and Neuwirth. You're telling me Neuwirth is going to give you like 30 starts as a backup, and you agreed with me. You're like, yeah, sometimes. It was worse than that. Elliott has. I don't think he's going to give us 30 starts this year. Like, it's been an absolute shit show. We're supposed to win this year. I quote Ron Hextall, and we have this could be the worst season in his tenure. I know he's not here anymore, but to go from we're ready to win to this is like, wow.
Yeah, and there's a couple there's a handful of players that have done that as well. Like, this is supposed to be their year where they really make the jump. I'm looking at Ivan Provorov, Shane Gostisbehere. They've all been on a steady incline, and then this year comes around and it's going to be their worst season of all.
You know what it feels like? It's going to be a pretty bad analogy, but it's a true story. So I went crabbing once, and we were coming back, and I had to use the bathroom really bad. Like I had to poop. Okay. So we get to my friend's house. His dad's not there, and we're locked out.
Oh my God.
And I don't know what to do. I'm literally doing circles because I don't want to shit on the lawn. I can't get in the house. And I feel like I'm running out of time. So there's me just doing circles. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. That's how I feel about this team. Like, I don't know what direction to go in. Like, what are they going to do? Like, their whole core is here. I feel like they have to move like 85% of the team.
And they can take a shit at any minute.
They're all going to be available, and who knows what can happen. And then you're worried about the prospects and the goaltending. And it's just like, I feel like that kid in 2007 running around in circles, not knowing where to shit. It's such a similar feeling to me, and it sucks, man. It's scary. It's scary. So another dreadful, sad podcast.
Thank you for that story. At least that was a great analogy.
Thank you. I wasn't sure, but I'm glad I have your approval.
All right, so we'll wrap this one up. The Flyers they lose 5 straight for only the first time this year, guys.
Oh man, is it 5 already?
Yeah, it's actually the 4th time they've gone on a losing streak of 4 or more games.
Well, at least they didn't get blown out by anybody.
Yeah, they kind of did the other night.
Predators pretty close.
Yeah, they actually looked strong for.
According to Bill Clement, they played pretty good though. They're getting pretty close to a win, was his exact quote.
How tired are you hearing that, man, after a loss?
It's just excuse after excuse after excuse, and I'm sure it's just the fans' fault because we're too mean.
Yeah, but All right, we're going to put a bow on this one, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. It looks like we have a couple viewers down there. Thanks for watching, guys. It was fun, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace out.
I didn't do it this time. Like
think
on
we're
the
still
anchor
alive.
one.
Says we're still alive.
So I did it.